High-tech gear developed by scientists at Oak Ridge National Lab looks to improve safety for first responders. 10 News reporter Cole Sullivan shows us how it works, and we hear from firefighters who say they need it. Cole?
John, with more and more electric cars on the road, first responders are facing a new problem. When those cars crash, sometimes the metal casings can become electrified and can deliver a deadly shock.
They can deliver a huge amount of power and can cause burns or explosions or fires.
Hybrids and electric cars, like the Toyota Prius, Tesla, or Chevy Volt, have batteries that can pack a punch.
So all of them are deadly. You would not want to handle that barehanded.
Of course, normally they're safely protected.
So this is the emergency stop. This pulls the plug on everything.
But in an emergency, the system might not work right, and the metal on the car could be electrified. That can be deadly to first responders on the scene of a wreck.
We're trying to cut and extricate a victim from the car where we can't access the disconnect system. We're having to make decisions about whether it's safe to cut a wire.
That's where Bruce Warmack and his colleagues at the Oak Ridge National Labs come in.
We've gotten inquiries from several fire chiefs, all the way as far as San Jose.
They've developed a new tool called the DC Hot Stick, named after the type of electric current and batteries.
A series of lights that light up according to voltage.
First responders can use it to see if the metal they're about to touch is energized.
Quick decision-making validation to let us know that it's safe for our guys to proceed.
This would give them another tool in their toolbox.
A tool they're expecting to use often as they see more and more electric cars on the road.
As these systems evolve, the technology to support that system also has to evolve, and that's what's great about what Bruce is doing with his folks. And fire departments in our area don't have this technology yet. Warmack has licensed it to a private company. They'll start selling it to departments across the country. Back to you.
Cole, thanks very much.